Time Staffing is proud to serve Wyandot County and the surrounding areas. Time Staffing has been the place to find employment for 20 plus years. Whether you're looking for employment or if you're an employer looking for employees, we are your one-stop source. Call us today at 419-294-1705.
Hey, I'm Hannah.
And I'm Amanda. And this is a podcast where we talk Wyandot business and the people who help run them.
What's up, Wyandot? Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of What's Up, Wyandot. Due to some circumstances, Amanda will not be joining us for this episode, but it is, I'm still here and we're going to do it. It's going to be a good time. And in with us today, we have our wonderful office roommate, Sara Lou of the Visitors Bureau. Hello, Sara.
Good morning.
Just to jump in, can you tell us about your job at the Visitors Bureau and what is it that you do?
Lots of things. Actually, the Visitors Bureau was started like 27, 28 years ago. It was a dream of Thomas Krieger. He kind of put it out to the public and nothing happened for a little while. And then he went to the city and the city decided that they could give us some financial support. And that's the city of Upper Sandusky. They would put in a bed tax for 3% of the proceeds of the motel's rentals for every rental there. At that time, half would go to the Visitors Bureau. Later on, they increased that to 6%, but we didn't get any more. We still got 25% of that. So, didn't increase what we got, but we do appreciate the support of the city and keeping the bed tax there because that's one of the things that keeps us going. We also have yearly memberships, and this is for local support. Many businesses within the area throughout the county give us money for this support, and we welcome this because we are promoting them and hope that people come and support them also. If I put some other things down. I just kind of kept a list of things that you might want to know. Yeah. Is that we are a 501c6 nonprofit. We are not a C3, which would be those that can take donations for giving to other organizations. We have a board that consists of representatives of the historical sites, which include the museum and the mission. It also includes the chamber directors and other interested citizens. We have a board of about 8 members. Others are welcome to join. If anybody out there that's watching this would be interested in joining the Visitors Bureau, we would welcome them. All they need to do is give me a call. We do have monthly meetings, and that's basically to keep us updated on the historical sites and the events that are happening within the county. Our historical sites in the county include the Mission, the Mill, the Overland Inn, Our Lady of Consolation and Shrine Park in Cary, our 3 museums being the Wyandot County Museum in Upper Sandusky, the Mohawk Museum in Sycamore, and the Cary Historical Museum. We also have the Swartz covered bridges, plus the many monuments such as Targhee, the War Memorials at Bicentennial, and the Crawford Monument. Because of the location of these sites, directions on how to find them is an important part of the job. Last week I had a couple stop in on their way. They had been in New York and were going home to South Dakota, and they wanted directions to the covered bridges and other sites that I thought they might want to visit. It was a day the mill was open, so I could add to their visit, and a walk around the Mission Church and the Indian Burial Cemetery were choices that fit their time and their schedule for visiting us here. But I had to get a map out for them and mark the sites and show them what routes to take. They're not always easy to find. It's kind of like the Parker Bridge. You kind of take out 53, you find the sign that you turn left, and you go back the road. You look like you're running into a farmyard. But once you get past the house, there's a road that leads to the right and it leads down to the bridge. So that's just how tricky some of our sites can be to find. But they're there, and as Tom Krieger says, we are one of the best kept secrets in the state of Ohio because of its historical site that people don't know about but have such an interesting history.
If I could comment on that, I usually commute back and forth from Upper Sandusky to Findlay where I live, and I've always noticed that like on my way to work and on my way home, it's right near, there's a rest stop, and there's a sign that says Colonel Crawford Monument right this way. And I remember one day I was coming home from work and I was like, oh, that'd be neat to check out. So I like pulled over to try to find it. I remember circling that road for over an hour going, where on earth is this monument? And my phone's GPS took me to an address and I pulled up and I'm like, that is definitely someone's house. I should not go there.
Actually, the original Crawford Monument is on private property and no one is allowed there. The replica of that, you basically go to Crawford, you take a left or right depending, you're going to the east, and you follow the sign. There is a sign that leads you back into the cemetery there where the monument is located.
Okay, so basically Google isn't aware of that and kept trying to take me to private property that I wisely did not go to.
Some of the other things that we do, we promote the school tours of the sites. It's been a little bit down this year with COVID because they either aren't doing it or they are coming just for a shorter period of time and going to one of the sites instead of doing a tour of all the sites. Other groups, such as ladies groups, churches and things, do call in and ask to be scheduled, and we do that for them. Some of the events that we promote, and I have a list here, the summer churches at 8 a.m. and the Mission Church, which is, the mission is owned by the Wyandot Indians of Oklahoma, but it is managed by the John Stewart United Methodist Church. And they have a full schedule of pastors that are coming this summer. They're local. A few, the Indian chiefs do come and also present one of the Sundays. That's usually in the paper, and I think if you look on the John Stewart website, they will have a list there. The museum is sponsoring Thursday nights, as they have in the past. And these are just interesting speakers that present various things that are either happening or have happened or history on the county. Weinstock's coming early in July. The firework, that's the chamber has something to do with that, and the young professionals. And I said, I know they were meeting last night, and I think they were having some conversation about it. It's always a huge success here. Fireworks on July 3rd, which is one of the nights of Weinstock, and I said, people just come all around and park along the roads and or visit the neighboring houses and have picnics and everything for these fireworks. So that's always a lot of fun. Wyandot County Fair wasn't a lot last year, but we're hoping for a lot more this year. The Chamber and the Visitors Bureau usually co-op on a booth there, so we're looking forward to doing that this year and welcoming all of you to our booth and our displays. We have the car show coming the last Saturday in September, and that always brings a lot of people downtown, and fortunately most of the time we have good weather for that, so we're thankful for that. One of the things that we do and have done for a long time is working with the Uppers Winter Fantasy of Lights, which is December 1st through December 30th, with usually a walkthrough sometime the week before. We've been their contact, and this means we answer the questions for the people that call. We direct them to the right committee member if they need to talk to somebody on the fantasy board. And we're also their answering service during the event, where we talk with some of the people. We take their voicemails, and then we also have a message with detailed information on the location, the costs, the hours, etc. Last year, in 2020, with the COVID and people wanting to get out and do something when they couldn't really socialize, we probably took someplace close to 1,000 calls on our answering machine, either talking to us or listening to our message. So we hope that we have helped them a lot with that, and I know they had a tremendous year. One of the things we're looking forward to doing is what we always do every year is the Lincoln Highway Byway. And Hannah, if you want some good bargains, this is the time to do it in Upper Sandusky.
I do love a good bargain, so.
We promote this locally, and these are garage and yard sales that are actually clear across the state. Actually, they begin in West Virginia, they go across to Ohio, Indiana, and also into Illinois. And that's the second weekend in August, this year being August 12th, 13th, and 14th. We post any sales that want to list with us, and I will let you know it's a free service that we do this. And I just ask for address, hours, and a limited listing of the items that you have. The listing is then printed along with a map showing the location of the various sales, and it's also then that printed copy will be available at our office, and you can also pick some up at some of the sales, and we also post it on our website.
So basically, you do a lot all year round.
Yes, we can find things to do most of the time. Besides that, we offer publications. Basically, our county brochure. I do have restaurant guides that list the listings for Upper Sandusky. It's the listings of all the restaurants, their phone numbers. Then we have one for Cary and the county. We also provide maps when needed. And we also have a courthouse brochure, which we worked with the courthouse and did that a number of years ago, which highlights all the interesting parts of the courthouse. Of course, the courthouse has been closed during the pandemic, but hopefully it will be open so that people can go in and see this beautiful structure on the inside soon. In looking at other things we do, advertising. We advertise with the Ohio Travel Pavilion. This is a brochure show. We put brochures from the county in, and Lisa takes them to various events throughout the state. So this gives us a broader coverage of Wyandot County. We've advertised in USA Today, the Midwest edition, thinking that people will see us as they look at this, because this has a huge distribution and they can see that we're here, and gives them the contacts to either contact us to find out what we're about, or look on the website and find out who we are. We also are looking at doing another one. It's called One Tank Trips with the Toledo Blade. And this basically lets people know that, you know, and with the price of gas, you don't have to go too far from home to find something interesting to see. So we're hoping this will promote people coming into the area for the day, visiting our sites, maybe shopping, and also going to our eateries, which we know we have some pretty good ones.
Yeah, I will say that for a couple years in my life, especially when I was like a student at Bowling Green, and I would travel back and forth from Marion to Bowling Green, and then later when I was doing Marion to Findlay all the time, I always thought it was nice, like driving through Wyandot County, but it wasn't until the past couple years where I like stopped and actually spent time here, and it's just like there is so much going on and so much to do, and I feel like a lot of people just, as you said earlier, it's like a hidden gem.
We do think it's a hidden gem.
Yeah.
We also do another service for the citizens here, and that is we keep brochure racks here. It's a little bit down this year because of COVID, but usually there are many different brochures, either locally or from other visitors bureaus and sites throughout the state, that people can stop in, they can look through the racks, it's all free, take what they want. And a lot of people don't know that's here, but we do have it, and when they come in, they'll say, oh, I didn't know you had that.
Yeah, and I think it's a very appreciated resource, because I've had a lot of people come in, and I think like you weren't here, or you're on lunch break or something, and asked a question. I'm like, I don't know the answer to that, but I know that Sara Lou has these racks ready, and I'll just take them on back, and they like to browse, and they're like super excited. Can I take these home? And I'm like, yes, that's a resource for you to take and go disperse to the community and let everyone know about. So,
yeah,
thank you.
Most of our brochures are right now are a little bit older from another year, but they're still good resources because most of the sites and do not change that are advertised on there, or their businesses. So they're still very relevant. I basically would like to say, maybe in closing on this part, is that our telephone number is 419-294-3556. We're glad to have you call and help you with anything we can related to tourism. Or you can visit our website visit wyandotcounty.com, or you can email me at wyandotcovb@gmail.com.
Thank you, Sara Lou. It seems like you were extremely prepared and you're very well organized, and that's awesome to hear so much that you do. We are going to take a moment to hear a quick word from our sponsors, and then we will get right back into our next segment to hear more about Sara Lou herself.
Time Staffing is proud to serve Wyandot County and the surrounding areas. Time Staffing has been the place to find employment for 20 plus years. Whether you're looking for employment or if you're an employer looking for employees, we are your one-stop source. Call us today at 419-294-1705.
All right, welcome back everyone to our episode with Sara Lou and the Visitors Bureau. It definitely sounds like you do a lot, Sara Lou. You're a very busy bee. Could you tell us a little bit about how you ended up in your position?
Yes. Basically, when Tom set this up with the city, I was on city council at that time, and the mayor says, well, you can be our representative. Okay, that's fine, I'll be the representative. Go to the meeting, and I get elected secretary. And the next day, I go to the bank, and I see Tom, and he says, oh, you're here to resign. I said, no, the minutes from last night were finished. Here you go. And it's been a ride ever since. Tom and I worked well together, and we started out basically working in our homes, and then I said we moved to a building that the city provided, and then structurally it became unsafe, like birds in the attic, and that. So then we actually had good connections with the chamber here. One of the former chamber directors says, we have some room, would you like to move in? And so this is when we moved in and had space with the chamber and stayed there ever since.
Well, it's good to have you.
It's been fun. And it's a good place to work because we get the exposure and we can share information back and forth.
Yeah, and I feel like it's a good, because I think a lot of people who don't really know what a Visitors Bureau does or a chamber does, just assumes that one shares the burden of the other, because I have a lot of people that come in and will ask me questions that are relevant to you, and it's nice to be able to just turn around and be like, here is the wise woman with all of those answers. And I think maybe you get some of that, people come to you and it's actually a question for the chamber.
Exactly,
Yeah,
we
so
do that. They do come and they say, that's not our responsibility, and it's nice just to be able to pass them on to you or Amanda.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a quicker way of helping people, and so they don't feel like they're being ping-ponged all around the city, and
yeah,
the answers are all right here.
In both cases, we have telephones we answer, and we can even pass the messages back and forth with the phones. It's not many people coming in, but it's a phone service too.
Yeah. All right, so how long have you been in Upper Sandusky? I feel like I know a little bit that you've not been in Ohio your whole life, correct?
Correct. I said I grew up here, graduated from high school here. My parents were Tom and Olive Miller, and they had the dairy snack here. And I have two sisters, and of course I wanted to get away like everybody else does for a while. So I ended up going to Miami University and got a degree in elementary education. And that took me to teaching in Fairborn, then finally back here in Upper for a while. And then when we moved, my husband's job moved us to Kansas, so I ended up teaching in Fort Scott and then in Lawrence, Kansas for a number of years. All good experiences and very different from what I grew up with here in Upper Sandusky. It's a broadening experience.
Yeah. It's nice to go out and experience other things and then come back, not like a more mature person, I guess, or well-rounded. That's what they tell you in school, right? Be a well-rounded individual.
Right. Expands our horizon.
Yes.
Yeah, I taught school there, and then my parents were ready to sell the business, and that's when we moved back. When we bought the dairy snack, and I ran it for a number of years till my husband passed away. And after that, I ran it for a few years and decided it wasn't quite the job for a single person. I wanted more of a life. So I left it to do a number of things. I worked for an automobile agency. I did some substitute teaching. I worked for the Edward Jones office. And about that time, then it became possible to make the Visitors Bureau position pay up with a paid salary. So I became the executive director of the Visitors Bureau. And that's probably been 15 to 18 years ago, something in that range. I don't keep track.
No one's keeping track.
Since then, I have remarried to Jean Binau, who was the former originator and owner of TP Campgrounds between Upper and Curie. So that gave me an opportunity that I'd never had before, being a mom, a stepmom to 6 adult children, 14 grandchildren, 21 and counting on great-grandchildren, and probably 5 great-great-grandchildren. So I said, this is an experience I never would have had because in my first marriage we did not have children, so this has expanded my horizons another way.
I don't have any children myself yet, but I've got a niece and 2 nephews, and I feel like that's sometimes a lot to take on, so I can't imagine just stepping into that many children.
Well, and then when you get those on my side of the family, I just got one last night from, oh, how do you like my new hairdo? And I enjoy both his side of the family and mine.
It sounds good. You've got you do a lot, and you've got a whole clan of people to help support you do all of that.
Yeah. And luckily, since I'm not the best cook in the world, I have daughters-in-law and daughters that are much better cooks, so I love to go in their houses too. They come to my house we love having them, but I know I'm going to eat better at their places. And that's an honest opinion.
I mean, that's something I do too. Hey, can I come over? Actually, I still do that to my mother. I'll text her and say, hey, I'm going to come visit, and then I'll walk in and go, what's for dinner?
Yeah, I cooked for my mother a number of years when she wasn't doing as well, but that's when I was going with Jean, and she wasn't worried about me being there and cooking. She was more worried about him coming to dinner. Thought I was ignoring him if he wasn't coming. But she did help me and did a few more recipes and ways to cook than what I'd been doing before being single.
Yeah, cooking's not easy.
No.
No. I'm also not a good cook. So, do you have anything else on your sheet that you prepared?
You had asked me to tell other things that I do. I basically serve as the executive secretary of the Wyandot County Community Foundation, which is something that was started probably 20 years ago and kind of floundered for a few years, and I kind of stayed on as to make sure it existed, and then we finally built up a board, and we are a viable organization now, doing good with scholarships and grants within Wyandot County. So I'm very proud to be part of that organization. I serve as secretary-treasurer of our Rotary Club, which I said, as many people know, do a lot of projects throughout the county. We're getting ready tonight to plant the flowers downtown. Okay. So that should beautify the downtown and make it look great for this summer.
I'm excited about that because we have that planter right outside our window. And I remember last year I would peek around my computer and just take a moment to look at the flowers, and then of course winter came and they're gone, so I've been like, are they gonna put those back out? I'm excited for the flowers to come back.
I just talked to the gal from the city this morning, and she's so excited. She's cleaned out all the barrels for us. She's excited to water them for us, and I said, it's nice to see young people like this, knowing that we're doing the work, and she's going to continue to help us beautify the downtown. I also serve on the leadership Leadership Council at John Stewart United Methodist Church. I've been a member of that church since I was on the cradle roll, so that's a lot of years. And I'm also chairman of the Upper Schenectady Tree Commission, and we're looking at doing some tree projects within the city in the next few years, so especially downtown. So we're hoping that people will note that this is happening and that we're continuing our work of keeping this a Tree City USA. And I serve on the city's planning commission. That's kind of nice because you just always know what's coming into the city as far as businesses, what's being built, and you know what's making the city grow. So I don't know that I think I've pulled out everything that's important about what I do, but you may have some other questions, Hannah.
I mean, it sounds like you're a very busy bee, and after hearing all of that, I feel like I would need a nap. A day in your shoes, I would just need to nap constantly.
Well, about 8 o'clock at night I fold. And that, you know, and I do. But I had one person ask me, she said, Sara Lou, why do you do what you do? And I said, Fran, I will tell you, I only do what I like to do and that brings me enjoyment or fulfillment. And that's why I do what I do.
Well, that's a good way of looking at it. It's worth doing if it makes me happy, so.
Right.
If you're allowed to share anything that comes to mind, do you have any sort of weird or funny story, either from the Visitors Bureau or any of the numerous boards you're on, or even from your years of teaching? What's something funny that you'd like to share with the listeners, if you're allowed to?
My doctor asked me one time if I had a story, and the story I told him was, when I was teaching in Kansas, I was going to Kansas State University in in Pittsburgh, Kansas, and I was taking classes, and I took this literature class, and we had to make a report on an author that we could use the book in our classrooms and maybe do some other extended activities with it. Not being from Kansas, I went to the local library and I said, could you suggest a book? And she said, yes. She says, we have this author here that's done What Would I See in Kansas? And it's done by a local thing. And it was all illustrated by children of school age, elementary. And so I put it together with a project that I could continue at that book with other pages from the students and everything. And after I left the class, the professor looked at me and he says, may I talk to you for a minute? And I said, oh yes. And he says, I'm very interested, he said, in the report that you're giving. He said, do you know the author? And I said, no, I don't know the author. He said, well, he said, well, then how did you come about using this? So I explained my situation, talking to the local library in Fort Scott. And he said, well, I just wondered if you were using this against me or not. He said, the author's my ex-wife.
Oh, no.
I thought, oh, there I go. I flunked the class.
Whoops.
I didn't. I got an A.
But yeah, they couldn't have expected you to know that.
No, but he thought I did. So that's kind of an interesting story about what happened. And, you know, sometimes you walk into something, you don't know what's going to happen.
Open mouth, insert foot. I feel like I've done that a couple times here at Upper since I'm not from around, and I don't have any specific examples like that, but I know there's been a few situations where it's like, oh, shoot, I stepped in something that I didn't know was there.
In this county, everybody's related to everybody else, so you watch what you say. And if you don't, you just apologize.
Yeah, no, I've had mostly like 99.99% good experiences here. And I don't say that I feel like an outsider because everyone's welcoming, but there's definitely, occasionally they'll just walk into a conversation and everyone will start talking as if they, you know, assume everyone in the circle knows who they're talking about, and I just kind of sit there and go, I have no idea what's going on or why this is important. I'm just going to stand here and smile.
And different parts of the country are very different. Having lived in the East Coast, where I was basically told I had my place and that was it, like working for Mrs. Bosworth. You didn't call her Betty, it was Mrs. Bosworth, and you couldn't socialize with her. Then you live in Ohio, which is much more relaxed. And then I moved to Kansas, which is even probably more relaxed and welcoming. But they always said, we consider Ohio part of our Midwest. So I always felt good.
Good. I always thought Ohio was part of the Midwest. I like the Midwest nice stereotype, so I'm like, I'll stick with that. Midwest nice.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners?
No, just come down and visit our office, and we're glad to welcome you. If we can help you with something about some of our sites or events, we're glad to do it. And I'm just happy that I ended up back in Upper Sandusky. It's been a good experience and a wonderful life.
Well, it sounds like you work very hard for this county and community, and I'm sure a lot of people are very appreciative of all the work you do, and I'll say thank you for all the work you do. And the address of her office, I happen to know that. That is 108 East Wyandot Avenue, for anybody who's listening and doesn't know where that is, so you can Google it. So thank you so much for coming on today, Sara Lou.
Thank you, Hannah. And Hannah and I share the front office, so you can come in and talk to both of us.
Yep, we'll
Thank
probably
you.
both be there. All right, and thank you to those of you who are listening. Be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow the Wyandot Chamber of Commerce on Facebook, and you can follow this podcast on Spotify, Anchor, and Google Podcasts.